So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Assistive Technology Social Hub, Sight and Sound Technology, and our charity partners in Fife Seascape. My name is Stuart Lawler. My colleague Fionnuala Murphy from Sight and Sound Technology Ireland is also here. And of course, Stuart Beveridge from Seascape is with us. And of course, this is a slightly new Social Hub team, I suppose. We are the new Social Hub team. Sam Coulson has gone on to pastures new. And of course, we wish him all the very best, as we did on the last session. Now, today we're talking about WeWalk. This is this smart cane, which Stuart Beveridge has got his hands on. He's been putting it through its paces, and we're very excited to hear all about it over the next hour or so. We'd also love to hear from you, and if you want to get in touch with us, you can raise your virtual hand by pressing Alt and Y, and I'll be keeping an eye on the virtual hands, or you can type in the chat window by pressing Alt and H, and Fionnuala will be keeping an eye on chat, and we'll go to your feedback and questions and comments as we go through the session. Before we start, I think we wanted to talk a little bit about the future of the Social Hub and some changes that you're going to see over the next couple of months. And Stuart, I suppose we thought, didn't we, that it was really important just to get people's feedback and to explain what's happening, because you guys have been running the Social Hub, I think, for about 1.5 years now, nearly.
Yes.
So it's been really successful. But one of the things we've noticed is that the sessions that we've been producing in Sight and Sound, the numbers who are coming to the live sessions are declining slightly, and that's to be expected because we're all getting out and about a little bit more. Thankfully, we're not locked into our homes as much as we were back in the early days of COVID. So the Social Hub is going to become a monthly session, and Webinar Wednesday, which is our other session that runs, is also going to become monthly. So you will have something every 2 weeks. And we want, in some respects, to bring the Social Hub back to its roots, to what it started out was, that social piece, an informal session where you can come and chat and learn and listen and meet other people. But we want to tackle, I think, not just technology, but other social issues. So we're hoping for our next session in September to talk about employment. And I think employment's a huge area. And, you know, you could probably talk about this a long time, but how to prepare for interviews, doing your CV. Do people do CVs anymore? Do you do LinkedIn? How do you kind of, as a blind person, for example, when you're going to maybe start a new job, how do you find out what the dress code is? How do you know that you're fitting right in with everybody else? So there are areas certainly that when we've chatted about this in the last few weeks that could be very interesting. So the Social Hub is changing, and we want you to be part of that change. And please give us your comments. If there's anything you'd like to see, well, you can put it right in the chat now this morning if you want, or you can raise your hand if you have any comments on the Social Hub or things you'd like us to tackle for you. Please let us know, because Stuart and Fionnuala and myself are very much looking forward to your feedback and making sure that the Social Hub continues to be the success it has been. Now, Stuart, I think after all that, we need a bit of technology. So really looking forward to hearing all about the WeWalk. I know you're going to show it for people who are able to see. You'll be able to see this, and very happy to hand it over to yourself to introduce to us the WeWalk from a user's perspective.
Yeah, and I'll describe it as best I can as I go along as well, and I'll just start off with an introduction before I get to the physical description and the demo. There's a lot to cover, guys, so I honestly don't think I can't cover everything in this cane in an hour, and I do want to leave time for questions, so I hope I don't rush it, because, as I say, want to leave time for questions, and, you know, just anything I don't cover, and, you know, ask away in the chat box, ask away by raising your hand, and I'll cover it, you know, thoroughly if any questions come up that I've missed. So I'll just get started, and I'll start with a kind of, because it's from a user's perspective, I'll just say that I have never been a confident cane user. I'm on my second guide dog, and I have managed to get 17 years and counting, actually, out of, you know, those two wonderful animals and companions I've had the pleasure of working with in terms of a guide dog. But even, you know, before I got my first guide dog, I was 18 when I got my first guide dog, so I've probably just gave away my age there. But I've been really interested in GPS devices and obstacle detection devices. And I'm now using a few different devices alongside my guide dog. Those of you who were at my Navi Belt demo will, you know that as well. You know, so I'm using a Navi Belt and a Sunu band along with my guide dog at the moment, but that's for another day. As I said, you know, I'm not a confident cane user. I've used a standard cane in the past, and I've also dabbled with an ultra cane, again from the last demo. And unless, to be honest, unless my guide dog is free running or I'm in the office at work, you know, if I'm just going around the building, the canes have just been sitting in a drawer. To be honest, you know, I just don't pick them up unless I have absolute need for it. But my worst fear really is because it has happened before. If my guide dog takes ill, I'm stuck. I just won't, I will not go out. My independence is gone. It's back to depending on my mum and dad for everything. And I'm really at the stage, you know, at 35 years old, that's really not where I want to be in my life anymore. And this confidence, it's now slowly changing, and it is gradually increasing when I don't have my guide dog, because I recently purchased the WeWalk Smart Cane, and I have been thoroughly enjoying testing it over the last few weeks. I've only had it a few weeks, but I'm really starting to see the benefits of it, and I have already fed it back to the WeWalk team, and apparently I'm making their day with this feedback. I mean, it's the reason I like it, you know, primarily because I'm a smartphone user, so it goes hand in hand with my iPhone. And this thing is feature packed. It is jam packed with different features. And I'm just going to go through a few of them now, so that when I get to the demo, and hopefully when I get to the demo, it should make more sense. So the WeWalk, it has, in the cane itself, it has obstacle detection. That's just above waist level. So the lower part of the cane, you know, will always is a traditional cane, but anything above the waist, you'll feel a vibration on the handle to let you know that there's something coming up at chest or head height. And that's can be when it's not connected to the iPhone, if it's standalone, or, you know, if it is connected to my iPhone, the obstacle detection will work, you know, in all senses. Now, as I say, it can be connected to your smartphone as well, using the WeWalk app, which is free to download, and it's available for both Apple and Android phones. Fully accessible using the different screen readers, and it does have a lot of low vision features in the app as well. So when it's connected, going back to the features, and it has to be connected for these features to work, the following features, you get a really full and unbelievably comprehensive turn-by-turn GPS navigation system when you're out and about. You can save your favourite locations when en route. You can search for nearby places, or, you know, even again, you can actually search for points of interest around about you in different categories as well. It has public transport information as well. Again, but we'll get to all of this in the demo. And interestingly, I found most interestingly, when the cane is connected to your smartphone, you can either use the smartphone to find your cane. So if you leave the cane, how many of you have left your cane lying around and can't remember where it is? I know I've done that on many occasions. So I can, using my phone, I can play a sound on my WeWalk Smart cane, and that will let me know where the cane is. And interestingly, you can reverse that process. So if you have the WeWalk Smart cane in your hand and you've misplaced your phone, you can use the WeWalk cane to play a sound on your phone. So I just think that's really cool, to be honest, but that's just me. And the main idea of this cane is that you can use a multi-gesture touchpad on the WeWalk cane itself to fully control all of the features I just previously mentioned using familiar swipe and double tap gestures when you have it connected to your smartphone and the app is running. And again, interestingly, and I'm happy to take questions on this, but this part I'm just about to mention, the only part here is around voice control. This is in beta stage and it's not working well at the moment, but in the future, you will be able to use voice commands to control every aspect of the cane. So any feature I just mentioned about that WeWalk there, you know, I can just use the microphone on the cane and speak to the cane using my voice, and it will do everything. It will take me to Starbucks, it will tell me the time, etc. Again, I'm not dwelling on it because it's not working well at the moment, and WeWalk have acknowledged that to me as well. So once the phone is connected to the cane through the WeWalk app, you basically just put the phone away and the cane does everything through the multi-gesture touchpad. And just so I remember, the price I paid at the time when I ordered it from the WeWalk website, you have to order it from the WeWalk website at the moment, as far as I'm aware. I paid £431.28 here in the UK. And it comes in 3 different cane lengths. So I did need to do a bit of converting here, because on the website, the sizes are listed as 51 inches, that's the smallest, 54 inches, and 59 inches. So depending on your height and I suppose the cane length that you're used to, you will need to do a bit of working out in terms of what size of WeWalk is best for you. So I went, for example, for the smaller option, the 51 inches option, and it's perfect for me. And just again, while I remember actually, the WeWalk website, looking at my notes here, I would have forgot this. Don't be put off if you go on and look for the price, because it's in dollars. So it's listed on there as $599 at the moment. But when I had a look down further, I mean, to be honest, most credit cards and Visa cards, I mean, mine, as soon as I ordered it, that was just converted into, you know, the £431.28, and I got the WeWalk 2 days later. So, you know, really, really fast delivery service now that they're partnered up with the Amazon Startup of the Year award. The service has really improved in terms of delivery as well. And just a couple of other notes, a bit of housekeeping, I suppose, just before we go into the demo. Unless you have been trained to use a standard cane, don't purchase this device for yourself or anybody else who you know for a fact has not been trained in good long cane techniques. You really need that long cane, basic long cane technique using a standard cane. And I suppose the other final bit of housekeeping and point I wanted to make, I said earlier, remember, that I was using other navigation and obstacle detection devices alongside my guide dog, apart from the Ultra cane, of course. So I'm talking about the Sunu band and the Navi belt and things here. These devices are not a replacement for traditional mobility aids, such as a cane or guide dog. You know, so the Sunu band and Navi belt you would use alongside a guide dog. They're a companion, they're an add-on. However, the WeWalk Smart Cane is a complete replacement. It's a huge, I would say it's a huge and serious upgrade to the standard white cane. And from my user experience, if you are familiar with using either the VoiceOver or TalkBack screen readers on the Apple or Android devices, you will love the WeWalk. If you're not familiar with VoiceOver or TalkBack or a good, you know, smartphone user, you won't get the full experience of this sort of cane. But I suppose you would still get the use of the obstacle detection above your waist level, because the cane doesn't actually need to be connected to your smartphone in order to use the obstacle detection features. So it can to some extent be used as a standalone cane. Anyway, let's get on to the good stuff. When the cane arrived, I took it out of the box and I found a folded Ambutech cane when I first opened the box. So the cane type that they're using is Ambutech, which it's a really, really good cane. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of the Ambutech, canes. And when I unfolded the Ambutech cane, there was no handle on it at all. So I was a bit perplexed, where's the handle of this thing? All I got was a shaft with a rolling tip on, the end. And on the other end was this massive screw sticking out of the top. So what I had to do was I found the handle of the cane in the box, and I had to screw the handle on top of, this screw that was sticking out of the top of the cane. And once you screw it into place, I mean, it's not going anywhere. Once it's on there, you need a bit of strength to unscrew it again. And it's the handle of the cane where the magic happens. So that's where all of the technology is housed. So in terms of the technology in the handle, you have the charging port, which is micro USB. You have vibrating buttons. You have a multi-gesture touchpad. There is a sensor for obstacle detection. There's a power button, a speaker, and a microphone. And it's also where the battery and motion sensors are found. So as you can imagine, there's a lot going on in there. So on that note, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to actually do, now that I've told you about what's in the handle, I'll do a physical description of the cane, and I'll also turn the cane on and off and let you hear what happens there. And then we'll maybe stop and take some questions before I go into the app. So I'm going to go and get the cane, and Fionnuala, if you're okay to unmute, I probably won't stand up for this demo and we can reposition my video.
Yep.
Just while you're getting ready there, Stuart, I'll just remind people again, if you want to raise your hand, Alt and Y. If you have questions, I think there's going to be lots of questions from this one. And if you want to chat, of course, Alt and H. And Stuart, I know, is going to do a demo now in the cane. Really interested to hear how this all works.
So, I don't think my video is in the right position here, Fionnuala, if we can.
No, it needs to be lower.
Possibly. See if I am there.
Yeah, I think that, yep, that's perfect.
Okay, can you
Yes.
see the handle?
Yep, that's good. Thanks,
Yeah.
Stuart.
So I've got the cane all set up, I'm not going through, screwing the top, on the handle on top of the cane or anything. So this is it in its kind of final form. So on the top of the cane, on the handle, there is a lanyard. I use that for, strapping around the cane to keep it folded mainly, or, if it needs to be hung up. And then on the very top of the handle, the top of the handle is really, really thin, because that's where your hand's going to go when you're holding the WeWalk. And then as you go further down the handle, it does thicken out, but it's not a chunky. I said I wouldn't start comparing it to the Ultra cane. I mean, it is chunky, but it's nothing like as chunky as the Ultra cane, and it's so much lighter. The weight of the handle is 252 grams, which apparently is 0.55 pounds. If anyone is interested, I got that from the WeWalk website, but it's honestly not heavy, and it feels really, really thin and sleek, and it just feels so cool, to be honest. And when you're holding the cane, so my hand is around the back of the cane, and then my thumb is going down the front of the cane, so that the thin part at the top is where the back of my hand wraps around the back of the cane, and then my thumb just naturally sits over the front of the cane. And when I've got my thumb positioned at the moment when I'm holding it, it just rests absolutely perfectly on the two. Remember I said there's two tactile vibration buttons, so if I go from the top of the cane down the front, the first thing I get to is the two tactile vibration buttons, and my thumb just sits on top of them. And these tactile vibration buttons are for obstacle detection. So we'll come back to that. They'll vibrate if the cane detects an obstacle, depending on the direction it's pointing. So below the tactile vibration buttons is a rectangular multi-gesture touchpad, and that's where you can perform traditional iPhone gestures. You can use swipe to the right to go forward through items, swipe to the left to go back through items, and you can double tap to activate items as well. So it's really quite a seamless transition between a smartphone and the cane, as I say, if you know what you're doing with the smartphone. And then below the touchpad, there is a circular sensor. Now, you don't want to be touching that sensor at all. Just leave it alone, because when the cane's pointing in the correct position, so I'm holding the cane as I should do, if I was holding a traditional cane, the sensor is pointing up above my waist and way above head height. And then as soon as I sweep the cane in a traditional side-to-side motion, the sensor just automatically points the way the cane's going. Everything is built into the handle. So if I feel a vibration when I've got the cane pointed straight ahead, right, there's something coming up ahead of me at waist or head height. If I move it to the right, the sensor moves. And if I feel a vibration when I've got the cane pointing out to what I've swept the cane out to the right, then obviously if I feel a vibration, I know fine, that there's something on the right-hand side. And it just takes a wee bit of practice, but once the brain processes that, then you're easily able to just step around. The more you use it, the better you get, and you can just sidestep the obstacle. You can set the obstacle detection range to different lengths as well. So I've got mine so that the obstacle detection, it's not, I'm maybe a couple of meters away from the obstacle, and then if I feel a vibration, I know straight away, yeah, I'll just step to the side and go around here. So that's the front. On the back, really, there's nothing at the top apart from the speaker and the microphone. I just ignore them completely unless I'm listening to the cane talking to me, to be honest. And then if I go further down onto the thicker part of the cane, kind of opposite the touchpad on the back, you have an oval-shaped power button, and there's a dot, a nice distinguishing dot in the middle of the power button. So that's for using to turn the cane on and off. And then if you go just further down and towards the bottom of the cane, there's a WeWalk logo, and just what I thought was a really nice touch. Below that, I don't know if anybody could see, but in Braille, you actually have the word WeWalk. So I just thought that was quite cool. So that's your physical description of the cane. Now, just before I stop for questions, I'm just going to describe what happens when I turn it on and off. And by the way, while I remember, because I forgot the last time when I was saying about the Navidale, the cane, as I say, it uses a micro USB charger, and it takes a couple of hours to charge, and depending on usage, you should get about 20 hours battery life out of the battery after a full charge. And remember I said there was motion sensors in the cane as well. So I don't know how it does this, but when you put the cane down, and if you leave it for 5 minutes or so, I was hearing this descending sort of song, and I'm going, what's that descending tune? What does that mean? It actually has a built-in battery saving mode, like a sleep mode on your iPhone or smartphone. So if you don't touch the cane for 5 minutes, it goes into sleep mode. And then as soon as I picked the cane up, I didn't need to do anything. As soon as I picked the cane up, I had heard another, an ascending tune, and that was it. The cane just woke up. As soon as I picked it up, the cane woke up, and I was ready to, start going again. So it's just really, really cool, as I keep saying. So let's get on to turning the cane on. So to do that, I press and hold the power button until I hear a vibration or feel a vibration. And I don't know if you heard a sound there, but the cane, it played a little tune to let me know that the cane has been turned on. And what's happened is I'm holding the cane in front of me, and when you turn the cane on, it immediately sets the obstacle detection to on. So at the moment, because the sensor's picking up my desk and my laptop, it's vibrating like mad. It's going absolutely haywire at the moment because the cane is picking up everything, the desk and the laptop. But what I can do, going on to the gestures, and again, remember, this isn't connected to my smartphone at the moment, so all I have is obstacle detection. But what I can do is I can turn the obstacle detection on and off at will. So to do that, I do a 2-finger swipe forward or backward on the touchpad when I have the cane in the correct position. So if I do a 2-finger swipe forward on the touchpad now, sorry, it didn't work the first time. So I did a 2-finger swipe back on the touchpad, and I'm not feeling any vibration anymore. The obstacle detection is off. So, you know, you could use this as a normal cane if you really wanted to. And this is the only thing I don't like about the cane, actually, these kind of canes, you know, referring to the normal cane. If it's heavy rain, the cane does come with a cover. So if it's heavy rain, you need to keep the cover with you and cover the handle of the cane using the included cover, because if you don't, you might seriously damage the electronics in that cane. So it doesn't sound as though it's waterproof at all. But be that as it may, going back to the obstacle detection, if I do a 2-finger swipe forward or back on the touchpad again, I should be able to start the obstacle detection up again. Yeah, there we go. And again, it's hitting my desk. The cane's not, you know, the sensor is picking up my desk. So I know that that's straight in front. If I sweep to the side, and I've had to sweep quite a bit to the side because I've got so much, you know, going on in this house. There's guide dogs lying about and everything here. So I sweep it to the side, and as soon as the obstacles, it can't detect any obstacles, I don't feel a vibration, and I know I can just confidently turn and walk in that direction. I sweep it back towards the middle. Oh, here's up, it's going haywire again. So that's a quick, I'm going to turn this obstacle detection off because it's annoying me. So I'm going to 2-finger swipe forward on the touchpad to do that. So that's quickly an overview of the cane and turning it on and off and just about the obstacle detection. I'm going to come on to the app and the connectivity side of it in a second or two. But Stuart or Fionnuala, is there any questions or comments so far?
There's a few questions, all right, Stuart.
Yeah. What I'll do, if I might not answer them, again, just like I did with the Navi belt, if it's to do with, you know, GPS or the app or anything, I'm going to come on to it anyway, and I do want to get on and do it. So just adjust my camera slightly again.
I was just going to say to you, Stuart, before we go into the questions, one thing, I'm forever putting down my cane and going, where did I put my cane? And now this thing, you can check it with your phone. I'm liking that feature on its own. But
I'm going to demo it in a second. Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, great feature.
So sorry, Stuart, you want to do the questions after?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, no, you want to do them now. Okay. You've answered one, which was, is it waterproof? I think.
Yeah, no, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it does have a cover, which is better than nothing.
Can you use 2-point touch with this cane?
I don't see why not. To be honest, it would. I've tried it, and I'm not great with 2-point touch anyway. But it does say that you can use it with 2-point touch. Obviously, you just, because the sensor's going to point the way the cane's going anyway, then I really don't see it being much of an issue. And just to say as well that the cane doesn't have a compass, and it takes everything from your phone when it's connected. So personally, I don't see any reason why you can't use 2-point touch with that cane, because whatever way the cane points, the obstacle detector is going to point anyway. Okay,
thanks for that. What kind of support is available from WeWalk? Is there any kind of one-to-one demos?
Great question. So, and I might have forgotten this one. So within the app, when I'll connect it up in a moment. So there is the help that's available in a particular section of the app it's called Academy, is massive. But you can, and I was struggling a bit when I first started using the WeWalk, and I managed to work it out, but I could have gone into the website and actually arranged a one-to-one training session from Monday to Friday, and you know there's a lot of different times available, and all you do is you go into the website and you go into support, and there's actually a one-to-one training session, and my WeWalk's just going to sleep, so there's a one-to-one training section in there, and what you do is you just submit the feed, you know, your request, where you're struggling and what time you would like the training from. There's a list of available times, and then they just send you the Zoom link, and they're happy to train you at that specific time.
Oh, that's great. That seems really helpful. I know you said that the obstacle detection can be turned off, but can you change the range of it or adjust the range?
Yes, I did say that as well. Yeah, so you have 4 different, bits. There's narrow, there's very narrow, medium, and high, if I remember correctly. I might have that wrong. I'd need to look into the app again, but you can change the range. And what you need to do is, what I did is try the different ranges out and get the one that suits you. And once you have that range, I would probably, unless you had a very good reason not to, I just keep it at that particular range. But
Okay.
it can be done.
As regards the rain cover, are you just using it as a normal cane then when the rain cover is on?
Well, interestingly, I mean, because when it's connected to the phone, as I say, spoken feedback actually comes through the cane as well. So I tried it, and what I didn't see as well is you can use Bluetooth headsets with this cane as well. If you've got a Bluetooth headset connected to your phone, you're just going to hear everything that's coming through the cane on a Bluetooth headset. So I use it with my Aftershocks headphones. And as I say, everything that the cane's telling me, because it's connected into the phone through Bluetooth, it's just coming through the headphones. So if the cover is on, then that's not going to stop the navigation, because it's just picking everything up through the phone. The main thing it's going to stop is the obstacle detection, because obviously the sensor for picking up obstacles is, completely covered. But apart from that, you're actually still using the cane as, a navigation device. It's just the obstacle detection is going to be an issue if that's your thing.
Yeah. Is the rain cover included in the price that you mentioned?
It is, yeah, it's free. It's WeWalk's gift, apparently, from what I read on the website. So it is free.
Very good. What about detecting clear things like glass doors? Have you had a chance to try it out there?
Well, I was using it down at the office, and it does seem to work. But again, I'm still only in early stages of testing this, but it seems to be picking up glass doors. It picks up, it's great for picking up gaps. So, I'm walking along and I can judge a gap in the doorway at my office and just walk straight through it. It seems, because I was testing it with my mum when I wasn't very confident, it seems to even pick up things like plants and gardens. If they're overhanging and things, it seems to pick them up as well. So it really does seem to have so much covered at the moment. But again, I haven't fully tested, this as much as I would like to yet.
Yeah. Does it activate security systems in shops? Have you been setting off alarms?
I wonder if I'd get this question. I don't know. I'm sorry to say is the answer, because apparently the Ultra Cane does, and I didn't know that. But I've never heard of the WeWalk activating security systems, but I don't know if it does or not, to be honest, I'm afraid.
Okay. Somebody who joined a bit later missed the bit about how it tells you which way to go.
Yes, so I will come on to this, but I'll answer the question as well. What you can do within the app, you can set it so that it tells you every so often which way to go. And again, it all comes through the cane. So I have mine every 15 seconds. If I put, program a route and say I'm going down to my mum and dad's from my house. So, I nip onto the cane. If it's connected to the phone, I can just go through, all the points of interest I've saved, and I tell it to go to my mum and dad's. And then every 15 seconds, when I start walking, I'll hear the direction in which I have to go. So I'll say every 15 seconds, something like, head straight for 10 meters, head slightly left in 10 meters, go straight on for 50 meters. It's an amazing thing. And what I like about it is it's so customizable. So, if you don't want a lot of information, if you know the route, then you could just have it just telling you every, minute or so. It doesn't have to be, every 15 seconds. You can customize this to give you your sense of direction or your next turn-by-turn instruction whenever suits you. And that's the part for me that is giving me confidence to actually have a go with this thing actually without my guide dog, and it is working so far really, really well.
There's a couple of questions here about earphones. Do you have to wear them, first of all? And second of all, sorry, I can't find it now, but oh yeah, is it safer to use bone conducting headphones, as this will allow you to hear traffic?
I would use bone conducting headphones, especially if you're crossing a lot of roads or you're in, you know, a busy area. The cane, when it's connected to the phone, the cane it does have a self-voicing menu. But again, if you're in a noisy area, even at its loudest sometimes, and you know, my hearing's fine, it does sometimes take a bit of you know, getting used to. And if you miss an instruction, you know, it might be, you know, possibly especially if you're going on a route, you know, you don't want to be taking a wrong turn because you've missed an instruction. So I find it absolutely fine in quiet areas. I just use my, you know, my ears and listen to what the cane's telling me, you know, that the phone's in the pocket doing nothing. But if I am in a busy area, then what I will do is I'll maybe I'll use my Aftershocks headphones or my Bose sunglasses to actually hear what's going on in the cane. It's just so I don't miss anything. So again, it would be at your own personal preference to what you want to do there.
Yeah, okay. One last question here then. Does it point out obstacles at head height, or is it just waist?
Yes, it does. Yes. And again, that's why I'm saying it is really quite key to get this obstacle range right. So the first thing I did when I got the cane was make sure I set the range to something that suited me. So I tested it on overhanging branches, and I tested it when I was walking straight towards a solid wall, you know, just to get that range correctly. And once you get the range right, as I say, just leave it there, and you're never going to bang your head off anything again if you get it right. You know, that's been a big bugbear of mine when using a normal cane. The amount of overhanging hedges I've bumped my head off over the years. So
yeah,
that's you can do it. Yeah, if I've got time, I'll demo it in the app when we get there as well.
Great. There's a question that might be best for the end, and that's if there's anything you'd like improved or changed. So maybe when we've gone through the app and everything.
Let me come back to that if that's okay. I'll do that at the end.
Yeah.
Perfect. And Stuart, can I, thanks for that, Fanula. Stuart, can I bring in one raised hand now?
Yes.
At this point, because we have Arthur Aston. Arthur's had his hand up for a little while. So Arthur, I'm going to enable your mic. You should be able to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your question. You might just need to accept the unmute request. Do we have Arthur? I don't think we have Arthur.
He's still on mute.
Yeah, that's sometimes tricky, isn't it?
Sometimes it's a bit funny. Just try again. You might just have to hit the unmute button, Arthur.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
We have you, Arthur. How are you?
Good morning to you. Morning, everyone. Very interesting so far, Stuart. I will say straight away, I'm a dedicated ultra cane user for about 9 years, and that to me is the same as your guide dog is to you. But I've been very interested in the WeWalk. Just before you move on to the app side, I thought I would ask the question. When you were given the description of the equipment, you mentioned there are 2 tile buttons on the front or the top of the handle. I know you've only got one sensor, so why have you got 2 buttons?
It's basically the buttons are actually they're on either side of quite a thin part of the handle, Arthur. So, you know, when I'm holding it, they're actually on the right and left of, you know, the really thin part of the handle near kind of halfway down the cane, just before the cane thickens out.
Yep.
And the idea is that your thumb, there's a tiny gap in between those 2 buttons. I hope this is making sense. And what happens is your thumb kind of goes in between, you know, the 2 buttons and just sits, you know, nicely in the gap. And then what happens is whenever there's an obstacle, the 2 vibrating buttons will, you know, activate at the same time on either side of your thumb, so you could feel it, you know, on both sides. Does that help?
That's fantastic. Thanks very much, Stuart. I just wondered whether there were 2 different signals being produced, but of course,
I should have made that clear, Arthur. Sorry, that's me not making it clear.
It's just the work together.
Yes, they work together, yes. So as I say, I think I did say at lower level, the cane is going to, it's not like the Ultra cane. At lower level, you are going to still just use, you know, the rolly tip part of the cane. The cane's just going to hit things as it normally would. So, you know, things like stairs or, you know, the lower part of a curb, etc. Yeah.
I understand that, Stuart. Thank you.
Good.
And just as an experienced Ultra cane user, I can answer your question in terms of with sonar signalling. You've got no problem in terms of detecting glass or any other obstacles or even soft objects. The only time you've got an issue is if you are trying to, for example, be in a footpath which is maybe, you know, 70, 50, 75 centimeters in diameter. It can obviously deflect the signal off to it at an angle, so you might miss that. But there again, you will be picking that up with your cane as you would use for your normal on cane practice.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks, Arthur. That hopefully that's been helpful to other people as well. That's really helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Arthur. Thanks for your question. Thanks, Emil. Okay, that's the raised hands. So Stuart, we'll hand back to yourself. Okay, doke. So I'm just seated, and as I did last time, guys, I've put the screen curtain on the iPhone because there are a lot of confidential addresses and things within the WeWalk app. So, you know, I'll do again the best I can to describe it. You'll hear everything through voiceover anyway. And what I'll do is I'll just open the app up. And just before I do that, I'll just say that the app can be used standalone. So when I demo a lot of these features in the app, you can use them standalone. It's just you won't have the pleasure of, you know, hearing and you know, you'd have to have the phone, you know, in your hand, or, you know, using a headphone as well if it was in your pocket. But you can use it for navigation, and you can use it for you know, finding places around you. You can save, you know, your favorite locations within the app, you know, like breadcrumbs, landmarks, whatever you want to call them. And until recently, the app was free to everyone. But now WeWalk have actually changed their model, and they're probably, just in my opinion, they're probably quite right to do it, because the amount of people using the turn-by-turn navigation feature, for example, in the app, I think was growing, you know, massively, but they weren't buying the smart cane, you know, to go with it. You know, they were just using the app, so free of charge, really. So what they've did is they've now actually put a subscription in place. So if you want to use the app without a smart cane, a WeWalk cane, it's £12.99 a month, or it's £102.99 per year for an annual subscription. I found out there. But because I have a smart cane, as soon as I connected my WeWalk up to the app, it's just registered that cane and the serial number. And, you know, because I've paid for the cane, I don't need to worry about a subscription for the app. But again, there's nothing to stop you having a free trial of that. You know, download it and see what you think before you pay for anything. But it is the navigation experience that sets it apart, in my opinion. Anyway, let's get on to the app. And I need to actually turn, I'm going to slow my speech down. Okay, so I'm going to go into the WeWalk app. So I'm on WeWalk. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but hopefully, actually, let me just wake my cane up again because he's going to sleep. So I don't know if you heard that, but as soon as I moved the cane, it played a wee jingle to let me know that it had woken up. That's just really, really cool. So if I go into the app now, if I double tap on the WeWalk app to open it, and hopefully, come on, connect WeWalk. And unbelievably, the app's not working as soon as I tried. Let me just close it. And this is, you know, we're live. I can't do anything about this, guys. Bear with me. Come on. WeWalk. Okay.
Notification. Twitter. Now.
Yeah, sorry guys, the app is not working. Unbelievable.
WeWalk. 10th app switcher. WeWalk. What motive?
I had it working this morning and it's not working.
Bangor Scott.
Really helpful. Sorry, I'll try one more time, guys. Just
Files.
These things always happen, Stuart, at the best laid plans.
yeah, so the cane's working. So why is
Bangor Scott.
the WeWalk not?
Weather WeWalk. WeWalk. Loading.
So
Location tracking on. Loading.
that's not working, guys, and I don't know. I'll try and is there any questions in the meantime, guys? And I'll try and I'll reboot the phone and just see if.
So if there is any questions, if anyone wants to raise your hand, you can press Alt and Y, and you can type in the chat with Alt and H. Actually, Stuart, the question about the two-tap or the two-point tap, sorry, was interesting for me as well, because that's the technique I tend to use with the cane most. And I wondered, did you find it heavy when you're moving your wrist? But presumably not.
I don't find it heavy at all, but as I said last week, I didn't find I don't particularly find the Ultra cane heavy either, and I know that's a bone of contention among people. You know, they think the Ultra cane is really heavy, but with the WeWalk, I just think I wonder if it's because of the handle's so compact. And again, I'm hearing that the Ambutech cane, is a brilliant, cane to use alongside, the shaft, alongside the WeWalk, with the handle going on the top. And it's more, apparently the Ambutech canes are really, really durable as well. So it is going to be able to take a few, lumps and bumps along the way. And when the WeWalk obviously is, sorry, I'm just going to get this phone up and running.
Yeah, no
with the WeWalk as well, it has been improved. So it's more, I wouldn't advise dropping it, but I think it's a bit more, wear and tear proof now as well.
Okay, brilliant. So just
So
anybody
just
who
rebooted my phone, guys. So
wants to ask a question, you can do Alt and Y to raise your hand, Alt and H if you want to type in the chat. We have Arthur, I see your raised hand. We'll come to you again in just a sec. Just see if the Stuart's app works for him. And
right, we're in business, guys.
brilliant.
Great.
I think I'm just putting my cane out of sleep mode again. And let me just see, is the cane out of sleep mode? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn this up, guys, and we'll go into WeWalk. And I don't know if you heard the sound, but I heard a kind of swishing sound from the cane. So what's happened there is, as soon as I've opened the WeWalk app, the cane has just connected automatically. So the cane now alongside the WeWalk app are hand in hand. So in the WeWalk app, let me just turn up. So there's 5 tabs in the app. There's a home tab. There is
Preferences tab.
There's a preferences tab, and in the preferences tab, that's where you would change all your settings, so your obstacle detection level, the strength of vibration, etc. That can all be done in the preferences tab, which is the second tab. The third tab, interestingly,
Assistant tab. 3 or 5.
So assistant that's actually going to be when it's live, when it's out of beta. That's where the voice assistant commands are all going to be. And so again, that is coming in the future. That's something I can't wait for, going back to a question Farouk asked about something I want to see up and coming. The fourth tab.
Academy tab. 4 or 5.
So Academy is the 4th tab, and that is where you will find all of the help, the user guide, audio tutorials. You can go on to the website and arrange one-to-one training. You could contact WeWalk by email, etc., and they'll get back to you within 24 hours. And I know that because I've had to do it a couple of times. And the final tab,
Profile tab.
the final tab is your profile, and that's where it has information for you, just personal information on your email, your phone number, your name, etc. The profile, to be honest with you, the only 2 tabs I worry about are the home tab, and that's the main one. And at the moment, the preferences tab are the only other one I worry about at the moment. So if I go back to the home tab, this is where all the features are.
Selected. Home tab. 1 of 5.
So I'm on the home tab.
Home. Heading.
And if I go through the features, so you've got
My current location. 6.
So you've got my current location, and again, if I was to check that out on the cane would tell me the exact address I was at. So I'm using the phone at this point, but again, all of this can be done using the swipes and touch on the cane's touchpad. So you've got where am I, or as I like to say it, or my current location.
50% home. My current save location.
Save location. Now that's where if you're walking up the street, and say I'm trying to think of a location I used. I got to Baines the Bakers and I wanted to save that as a location. So again, I just did that using the touchpad on the cane. It told me I was at Baines the Bakers. So I just went and saved that as a location. And again, I did that using the cane rather than the phone. But it's the phone that needs to be connected to get this information to the cane, obviously. So this is where the app is so important. So you can save as many locations in there when you're on routes as you want, and you can get them
Share my location.
Share my location is an interesting one. Now you can't do that on the smart cane, but you can do it through the WeWalk app at the moment. I'd maybe like to see that come to the smart cane if it was possible, because I really thought this was a good idea. If I got lost along the way somewhere, I could just send my mum or my dad, somebody like that, my exact location. But at the moment, it has to be done on the phone, unfortunately. But that's really cool, isn't it?
Exploration mode. Switch on.
Exploration mode. I just keep that off because if I turn that on, the cane's going to shout at me, everything that's around me, So if I'm going up the street, I'll hear, the golf club, McCall's shop, etc. So in the main, and when I'm in a familiar area at least, I keep explore off.
Connect WeWalk button.
There's connect WeWalk. So obviously, I think the WeWalk's lost the connection because it's gone into sleep mode. So we'll come back to that in a second.
Explore button.
So again, you've got explore.
Transport.
Transport is something you can do through the cane as well. So if I went in there into transport on the cane itself, I could actually get a list of all of the bus stops that are around my local area. I could get guidance to each bus stop, and I would be able to know which buses were coming as well. And I'd be able to plan journeys within the transport app as well. So I'm a bit away from my work in Kirkcaldy at the moment. If I wanted to, I could plan a journey to work using this WeWalk app, and it would take me every step of the way. It would take me to the bus stop. It would tell me when my bus was coming. The cane would tell me when I'm on the bus, when I was at the correct stop, and then it would actually guide me to the end destination, which is Seascape in Kirkcaldy. So hopefully you're just getting a picture of it. It's really more an overview, I think, because of time, but hopefully you're getting a picture of how fascinating this is.
Navigate button.
Navigate, again, that's if you want to go to a particular destination and you've maybe not saved it in your favourites list, because if I keep going,
My places button.
My places is where all of my favourites are. So when I first use a navigation app, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, whichever navigation app you use, put all of your points of interest in as markers before you even start going on a journey. So I've got shops, I've got pubs, I've got the bakers, I've got my mum and dad's, I've got friends' houses. They're all in there. So basically, after a few swipes and taps, you know, I just go through all the list and I put the, you know, a double tap on the correct one using the Kane's touchpad, and then the Kane will do the rest. It will just take me where I want to go. And that's it for the home tab. I think I won't go through the preferences at the moment because I want to show you a couple of final features when the Kane is connected to the phone. So if I go back to, I'm going to have to connect to Kane again. Let me just wake it up. So I've woke the Kane up. I've woke the Cane up. I'm going to connect.
Searching for WeWalk.
It's looking for my WeWalk.
Couldn't find any WeWalk.
Oh, I'm going to turn the WeWalk off now and again, guys. It's lost connection, so I'll just start it again. It will only take me a second. Stuart, is there any questions in the meantime, or?
No, oh yeah, sorry, Fionnuala.
No, sorry, there is a couple of questions. So Stuart, somebody wondering, I suppose, is the vibration distracting from the way you would normally use a cane? I suppose you've been using the Ultra Cane for a while, but for somebody who hasn't had experience of anything like that before.
I do find it distracting, especially, you know, if I don't need the obstacle detection on, then, you know, and the vibrations just, you know, really they don't get to me, but I just find them annoying. But again, that's the beauty of the Cane. You don't need to have them on if you don't want them on. So that's what I like about the Cane. You know, it's just fully customizable. And you can adjust, as I say, the strength of the vibration as well. So really everything's covered. Again, it's so the way I would use the WeWalk probably is totally different to you know, somebody else that uses the WeWalk, you know, but that's what's great about it. It's your personal device. It's my baby, if you like, and I've got it working the way I want it to work, whether it's obstacle detecting or not.
And what about the Bluetooth signal, or you know, when you're out and about, if you're in a poor signal area?
It's never really told me anything about that yet. It's always been a really good signal. I mean, just to say, by the way, it does work with the Google Maps, and there's no, as I say, that there's no compass. Everything is done through the phone. But, you know, again, because the Cane is self-voicing, when it's connected to the app, it will tell you when you're in, see it's maybe lost its signal or something like that. It will tell you if it's lost its signal, and it will tell you if the battery is low as well. So mostly I think it's got everything covered.
Stuart, I just saw one here. Diane was saying, if a row of buses come into a stop, how would you know which is the right one? I think that's not really the purpose of the WeWalk. I mean, I don't think the WeWalk could give you that level of information. Is that correct?
Sorry, Stuart, can you repeat that question?
If a row of buses come into a stop, how would you know which is the right one? But it's not.
Yeah, so Diane, I mean, you know, there's just no way of knowing, and I've had this, you know, I've had this problem in the past when using other apps as well. You're not going to know, you know, if two buses come at the one time and you jump on the wrong bus, you know, unless you're going to have to ask the driver, and it's hit and miss, you know, but there is no technology that is not, I suppose, a point of the WeWalk Smart Cane. You know, it's just taking information as it becomes available from the phone. So if two buses come at once, you might actually, what would be maybe a good idea is if you had some sort of companion thing there. So that's maybe an example of where you can use the video calling feature on the Envision glasses, for example, so that a sighted person, or Be My Eyes or something, so that a sighted person can actually tell me what number of buses is what. So I'm thinking outside the box a wee bit here, but hopefully that's a wee bit of a help.
Brilliant, Stuart. So you're going to power on your WeWalk again.
So I've got the WeWalk up and running again, and I'm on the app and it's connected. So what I'm going to do is on the home screen, I'll swipe through, now that the WeWalk's connected again, I'll swipe through the options again as before. I won't go through them again, but
My current location. Save
so
location.
save location.
Share
I'm just
my
going
location.
through the options.
Exploration mode. WeWalk connected. Disconnect WeWalk. Where is my WeWalk? Button.
Where is my WeWalk? So if I double tap on this button now, hopefully the volume's high enough on the WeWalk to let you hear this.
Where is my WeWalk? Where is
Great.
You hear it, Stuart? Is it coming through?
Yeah, I need that built into my bog standard cane as well, please.
Yeah. So if I put that thing down and I can't, I tested it, I got my dad to hide it and I tested, I just kept double tapping the.
Where is my WeWalk?
So I just think that's brilliant, isn't it?
It's
And
brilliant.
again, what it does is it works in reverse. So if I was to go onto the WeWalk cane, I could swipe through, you know, to the right and left, just as I've been doing with VoiceOver on my iPhone. I could swipe through and it would say, find my phone. And if I double tapped on find my phone using the cane's touchpad, then the phone would actually ring until I picked it up and actually opened it up. And then it knows, oh yeah, he's found his phone. So it just cuts it off.
So actually, Stuart, just one thing for me to clarify: when you're swiping on the cane, there is also text to speech in the cane. Is that right? There's speech.
Yes, I
feedback from the
wonder
cane?
if, I don't know if this will come through, but let me see if I can demo it. If I just angle the camera again to put the cane. How are we for?
Yeah, that's good, Stuart.
Now we might take my word for it. You know, we might not hear this. I might have the volume too low. Try and.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's got my places, and then. So you've got my places, explore, and I'm just swiping to the right on the touchpad. This is it's a built-in female voice that I can't change. You can't change that at the moment. It does come in several different languages, but you can't change the voice. But again, if I had headphones on, it would come through in the voice, and connected to the iPhone, it would come through in the voice I had on the iPhone. So that's a wee way around it at the moment. So what else do we have? So we've got public transport. Again, I'm just using the cane. The phone's sitting out. The phone's out of reach at the moment. You've got device preferences. You've got find my phone. So if I double tap find my phone on the cane, and it's pinging me at the moment. So
Very good. Yeah.
You can turn on this note of WeWalk.
Yeah. So I'm just going to
Closing WeWalk.
stop him.
No, I'm ready.
But that actually was finding my phone for me as well. So, you know, again, I could have just, on any of those options I showed you there on the cane, just by swiping to the right, we had, you know, my places would be where all my mum and dad's stuff were, public transport, all of that, I could have just accessed through, you know, if I just double tapped on that cane's touchpad, I would have had all of that information through the cane. So hopefully that just shows, you know, that the phone was actually behind me, sitting on my swivel chair. It was not needed, you know, and that is, as I say, I can't emphasize enough that that is the main idea, you know, this cane. And so far for me, at least, it's working really well.
That's fantastic, Stuart.
Will I be okay with video again? Have I got that?
Yeah, you're looking good.
Lovely. So I think I'm quite happy. I'm not going to demo the voice assistant, I don't think, Stuart, because it's really, you know, the voice commands, it's not good. And I did wonder at this stage, you know, I did wonder if it was my Scottish accent, but Joe, who is the product manager at WeWalk, says, you know, he has an American accent and he's having the exact same problems as I'm having. So they have acknowledged that the voice assistant isn't there yet, and that's one of the things I'd like to see coming. And the other thing, and I know for a fact this is coming, and I don't know much about it, but what they are working on, just to finish, is obviously at the moment this GPS stuff, the navigation stuff, it's all for outdoor navigation. They are now working with Microsoft on an indoor navigation project as well. I don't know how it's going to work, but apparently it's going to be here and active, hopefully by the end of the year, which that's really tickled my interest, you know, got me sitting up and taking notice. So the thing about the WeWalk is they're not going to stop. You know, now I've got the smart cane, any updates, I'm just going to get them free, you know, and who knows where it's going to be. And I think in a year's time, it's going to be, improved even more than it is at the moment. And I think it does so much good. It does great. For what it does it really well at the moment. So I think it's just the technology. It is specialist, the same with things like the Envision glasses, but it's just so exciting that these things are on an open platform and can actually grow and develop over time, and they don't stand still. So hope everybody found that demo helpful. And again, the Kane's going to sleep again. Yeah, just again, any other question, just give me a shout.
Brilliant. Thank you, Stuart. I think it's really interesting when you mentioned the whole idea of indoor navigation and maybe, being able to go to a shopping center or the airport or a train station whenever and do that, independently, which I suppose some of us definitely struggle with, when we're going to somewhere we haven't been before. So thank you for that. Thanks to Fanula for keeping an eye on our chat as well. That's just about it for the social hub from today. We hope people will join us again in a couple of weeks' time when we'll be talking about employment. Oh, I just have really quick, Arthur, I have a really quick raised hand from Arthur. Arthur, sorry, I forgot about your raised hand and you put it up again. So thank you very much. So we just go, Stuart, if it's okay for a quick question to Arthur.
Yeah, enough time, plenty of time.
So Arthur, you should be able to unmute yourself. And Diana is saying, thank you for a most interesting demonstration. Thank you, Diana.
Not a problem.
Coming along.
The Zoom webinar.
There you are, Arthur.
Hello, am I in?
How are you? You're in, yeah.
Thank you very much, Stuart. That was really interesting. My question I was going to raise before, Stuart, is the navigation apps. You mentioned Google Maps, the labeling, location labeling. Blind Square's built into that, is it?
No, from what I was actually reading, Arthur, and I'm fairly positive, it's actually like a slimmed down version of Google Maps they're using, and obviously that they've kind of just taken the parts of the API of Google Maps and have customized it to suit their own requirements by the sound of it. And apparently they've really had to do this from the ground up, to make this as accessible an experience as possible. So as far as I'm aware, it's the Google Maps system that they're using at the moment.
Right. I just wonder because, of course, Google Maps in general doesn't have the extent of the linking to transport and, for example, alarms to warn you when you're reaching a destination or a drop-off point. I just thought, maybe there's something else there. The other question, and it links back to, is how strong and how good is the pairing between the Kane and the app on the phone?
Good question, and that's something I forgot to mention actually. So again, it's Bluetooth, Arthur, so if you go maybe 30-40 feet away, it might lose the overall signal. But if the Kane is connected to your iPhone and you do go too far away, the Kane's actually going to let you know that it's lost connection, and then you can go back in range and you can maybe use the Find My Phone if you've again lost the phone. So that's a really, really good question. The Kane will let you know through a tone when you've lost connection to the phone, you've went too far away from the phone. And just a final point from me on that, remember I mentioned the Academy tab in the app, which is where all your user guides and manuals are. There is in there, you can get the phone to play all of the different tones and sounds the WeWalk makes, so you actually get familiar with the sounds and the phone will tell you what each sound is. When you double tap it, it'll play the sound. So it's a really, really good way to get familiar with what each sound means and get your brain accustomed to listening out for them as well.
Thank you, Stuart. Just one comment finally, if I may. Again, coming back to my experience with UltraCane, because I depend totally on the feedback from my UltraCane, opposite to yourself probably, and with having a guide dog, is if I don't regularly pick up a vibration from anything, I need that as a reassurance that the cane is actually working and hasn't switched itself off. So that's just a point, but it's just how you use it and what you use it with. In my case, it's a comfort to get that vibration occasionally just to confirm that it's working.
Just to let you know, yeah, I totally understand, Arthur. I mean, again, I suppose it's sown through, testing it before you go out, isn't it, and things like that as well. So it's going to depend on each user, but again, it's great that these things are now in existence, I think, to be honest.
Thank you very much. Thank you both.
Cheers, Arthur.
Thank you, Arthur. Good to talk to you. All right. Thanks, everybody. That's been a great session. Stuart, well done. Another wonderful presentation. And thanks, Fanula, as well.
Thank you.
Guys.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks, folks, with an employment special. Please watch our social media and email lists. If you're on the Social Hub email list, you will get our updates. And we'll be giving you plenty of notice of our next employment session, which we do hope is going to be good. We're putting together an interesting panel for that, and I'm looking forward to it. Until then, stay safe and stay well, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.